any kind of handheld device. When you're called upon when you want to ask a question, please raise your hands. We have Ray and Hammond as our mic holders today. And when you do ask a question, we ask that you give your name and affiliation. Joining us from Texas, our head coach, Karen Aston, and student athletes Ariel Atkins, Amani Boyette, and LaShawn Higgs. We'd ask Coach Aston to make an opening statement.
Congratulations to Connecticut. A phenomenal performance, I thought, on their part, especially shooting the basketball. They shot the ball terrifically tonight, and I felt like that we tried to give them as many looks defensively as we could, but they have an answer for just about everything that you give them. But on the flip side of that, I can't say enough about how proud I am of our basketball team. And it's a tough night for us. Lots of seniors, lots of tears, lots of people that didn't want this to end. And it's a significantly different looking team and different locker room than it was last year when we played our last game. I think it's a team that understands that they've moved to a different competitive level, and when you sacrifice everything that you have, it doesn't feel good and it hurts. And it's a team that didn't want this to end. But I'm extremely proud of how we competed. I thought that, well, I do think as a coach that all you can ask is for your team to give their best effort and everything that they have. And I think everyone could see that our team was exhausting themselves trying to compete. And I just couldn't be any more proud of a group of young ladies than I am of Texas.
Okay, we have questions for the Texas student athletes. We'll start with Pat in the front here.
Imani, can you talk about the difference between a year ago playing UConn, it was a 51-point blowout, and this game tonight? And I know you guys didn't come here just to compete, but what it says about the program that you've been able to take those steps?
I'm in no means satisfied with losing by 20 instead of 51, but I'm proud of my teammates. Like, look who's sitting next to me. These are my babies that sit next to me. My babies carried the team tonight. So by no means, we're going to be here next year and the year after that. My freshmen led us in scoring, so I'm excited for what comes after this, but I'm frustrated that we lost.
Any other questions here in the front, Rick?
Rick Hand to the Austin American-Statesman. Piggybacking off what Amani said, Ariel, the top three scorers tonight were two sophomores and a freshman. Does this bode well for Texas? And what was the difference in the locker room, as Coach said, between last year and this year?
I think this year we expected it because of all the hard work that we put in through the year. The way that we talk to each other, our locker room culture, our practice culture, everything has changed. I think we worked so hard to be here, and I just feel like we deserve to be here.
Chris?
Chris Ellsbury, Connecticut Post. I mean, how important was it to kind of answer them in the first opening minutes? They hit a couple of threes, got out 6-0, and then you guys came back and were able to make it a game and not let them get, way out in front.
I think they do a great job of kind of capitalizing on their runs, and we had talked about that, and I think it was a spurt in the second quarter where we just we lost our game plan and we let them extend the run because we were answering in the first quarter. And it's definitely important when you're playing UConn to not necessarily answer in terms of offensively, but lock down defensively and stay locked into the game plan with help side defense and staying together as a team.
Rick in the front again.
Imani, how much better is this team right now than a year ago right now?
I think the same team is amazingly better. It's more so in the effort that everyone's given. Everybody left it on the floor. I can't point to one person from the bench players to the starters that didn't leave everything on the floor, from people that didn't even touch the floor. Everybody put their heart on that floor. And as you can see, where everybody's growing, this year our guards carried the team, and we had post presence as well. So I'm excited to see what they do without me next year, and I'm just proud, frustrated, but proud.
Any other questions for Texas student athletes? Doug in the front.
Doug Farmer, DAP. Amani, I know it's fresh, but could you put in perspective what your career has been for Texas and how you've seen the team grow over your time?
It's very fresh. I don't know if I can answer that question. I guess you have to ask my coach or the players that came behind me. I hope that I was responsible for I helped bring Texas back to national prominence. I hope when I leave that they could say that I was a good teammate and I helped and I worked hard and I did everything my coach asked of me. Honestly, like, I can never repay the University of Texas. I love this university, and I'm just so blessed to be able to represent them.
Coach Money.
Have anything else for the Texas student athletes? Thank you. Congratulations on a great season, and we'll dismiss the student athletes and we'll open up questions to Coach Aston. Pat, in front.
Karen, Patty Rob from the AP. You said at the last game that taking that one step was the goal for this season. You took another step tonight. Can you talk about what that meant for your team to compete tonight?
I think the biggest step between Saturday night and tonight was just the way they prepared, because you could tell that they thought they could win. And I mean, hindsight last year, I think the coaches obviously always try to prepare, but when you look at the difference in the mindset of our players in preparation last year and this year, I mean, they thought they could compete. And it's all a mindset. It's a huge mindset, obviously, against Connecticut, but I do think that we thought we could compete with them, and I think if you ask them right now, they would still think that, because they have confidence, and confidence comes from work. They put a lot of work in.
Rick in the front here.
Rick Cantu, the Austin American Statesman. Karen, what does it say about your program right now where your leading scorers tonight were sophomore, freshman?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a difficult game sometimes for older players to play in. I think when you know you're reaching the end of your career and that you might be playing in your last game, I've been a part of games like this that the young players, they sort of don't know any better. So I think that they played terrific, but I also think that sometimes that comes from lack of stress, lack of pressure. And the older ones, it's a difficult night when you know it's coming and you know that you have to play a certain way for it not to come. And our seniors, I mean, I think you could tell how they feel about Texas, and I think you could tell their passion for their team and their teammates. And I think I said this yesterday when someone asked me what we had to lose. I think it was you. Someone asked me, maybe it was Fran, I don't remember who it was. They asked me, were we going to go into this game feeling like we had nothing to lose? And I still feel the same way. We had a lot to lose. Our team did not want this to be over.
Roger.
Karen, Roger Cleveland from the Waterbury Republican American. Given what you just said about how difficult this game can be on seniors, can you just talk about the way UConn seniors played? I mean, are they just a different group?
Well, they've been there and done it, so they understand what that pressure feels like. And they have a confidence level from the experiences that they've had that's unique. And then you can't deny that they're talented. I mean, I don't want to take that away from them also, that they're really extremely talented, but they also have that level of experience that takes them probably mentally to a different place.
David?
Karen, David Siegel from Hoopfeed. With all the stuff that's going on the last couple days with Shaughnessy and Gino and the talk about UConn and winning by such margin, the one thing that I thought was that your team got lost in the shuffle and that your team deserved to be here and wasn't getting enough credit. Did you use this in any way to talk to your team about the differences between people, the way people perceive other teams and growing the game, or did you just not try not to pay attention to it at all?
Well, I think that in the age of social media and internet, I don't have to tell my players a whole lot. They read everything that everybody else reads. So I sometimes feel like that it's overkill to talk to them about all the things that they're already reading, unless I think that in some sort of way it might motivate them. But in this particular instance, I really tried to focus on our team, and I do agree with you that we did get lost in the shuffle. When you have conversations and nobody even discusses our team, and we were 31-4 coming into this game, it's disappointing that we didn't have anybody even interested in talking about Texas, because I think we are a phenomenal basketball team. I do. And I wouldn't say that. I didn't say that last year. We weren't. But I think we are really good. And very easily could have been in the Final Four. Had we gone in a different region, you never know about something like that. But I do think that we deserve to be talked about. And therefore, my focus was more on preparing them. I mean, I thought that if we prepared, that we could compete. So I didn't pay much attention to it yesterday.
Okay, we got a mic to Rick in the front, and then to Doug in the front, and then to Jim. Go ahead.
Coach Imani was pretty passionate just now, saying what the University of Texas has meant to her. How about I reciprocate that? What has she meant to the University of Texas?
Well, she's taken our program to a different level. She and the other seniors and all of the people that along the way in these 4 years that committed to getting us to a highly competitive level. And Imani was sort of in the forefront of that because she was the premier recruit in that class. There was a lot expected of her, and I think she delivered. And she delivered in an instance where she was always constantly having to fight injuries. And, I mean, it would have been very easily for her to check out. I think if everybody really understood the struggles that she's had. And she has something in her. And I think what was interesting about what she said is she hoped that they thought she was a good teammate. And out of everything she's evolved into, that's the most special thing to me as a coach, is what kind of teammate she has become. Because in the beginning, she had some quirkiness about her, and nobody really knew how to take her. And I don't know that she knew how to be a teammate. And she has become a great teammate. And I think they would all say that about her. So I'm probably as proud about that as I am her numbers. But her numbers speak for themselves, too.
Okay, we're going to do 2 more questions, Doug and then Jim.
Hey, Coach, Doug Feinberg, the AP. You talked in your opening statement about how the locker room was different than last year and it hurt more in a sense. Does that help you guys going forward with the group you have coming back and coming in, that the offseason will be, okay, we're close to making that next step to be in the Final Four in the elite group?
I think that any time you take steps forward, it's motivational. And I said that the other day. You can look at situations and when you're successful, and they're either going to make you complacent or they're going to motivate you. And I do not see this team going in any direction other than being motivated. I mean, they don't like this. We have a lot of competitive young players that want to be great. And we have a tremendous recruiting class coming in. So I do expect that this will be very motivational for them. I don't look at it as something where they think, oh, great, we did this and now we don't have to do anything. I think they understand we're still not there. Real close. Really, really close, but we're not quite there. And so I think that should be the motivational tool for them, is that we don't have a ring. I mean, as much as 31-5 sounds unbelievable, and I do think that we were an unbelievable team and had an unbelievable year, we still don't have a ring. We are still chasing championships, so we should be highly motivated. That's what you're supposed to do at Texas.
Last question from Jim.
Jim Fuller, New Haven Register. You address your transition defense. UConn usually gets the ball, gets out in transition. You guys were able to keep them to a half court. And how important is that moving forward for the teams in the Final Four to make them play offense in the half court?
I was really pleased with that. I appreciate you saying that because they're phenomenal in transition. I think some of it had to do with the fact that we didn't turn it over a lot, and they get out and transition very quickly when you turn it over to them. So I think that was a piece of it. We only had 7 turnovers in the first half, and obviously 7 in the second. But they're just terrific in the half court too. But it does kind of somewhat make you feel like you're staying in the game if you can take away their layups and take away the baskets that get the crowd into it and I mean easy uncontested baskets. So I do think that we made them work for some things, but 12 threes is too many for sure.
Coach, thank you for your time
Thank
this
you.
weekend. Congratulations on a great season. The Texas locker room continues to be open, probably another 8-9 minutes. What's that? Connecticut coach and student athletes are on their way, and the Connecticut locker room is now open for the next 30 minutes. Tuck and Stewart. Connecticut head coach and the student athletes are entering the interview room. Hey guys, congratulations. Okay, we'll start with any opening comment from Coach Auriemma.
Yeah, they didn't count a couple of them. Yeah. Trying to get a triple-double, throwing the ball to the other team the last 5 minutes. I'd just say the same thing that I said to our team going into the game and then coming out of the game. And even during one of the huddles, that this game is the most difficult game, I think, to win. I say that every time we're in this game, and it's true. And it showed tonight. You're playing against a really good team that really tested us at both ends of the floor, and it forced our best players to play great. That's exactly what you need at this time in the tournament. You don't want to be going to the Final Four thinking that games are easy. And in spite of the score today, this was by no means easy at all. I'm excited for our seniors. I've been thinking about it all year long. How I really want it to end, and they say being there is half the battle, right? So some great things can happen next weekend, but you have to be there to make it happen, and we did the hard part.
Okay, we've got our two mic holders. Questions to student athletes. If you could ask to a particular one, it'd be helpful. Doug in the front, and then Howard in front.
Doug Feinberg, the AP. Stewie, they cut it to 12 in the third quarter. I think they had 3 straight threes, and then you, Morgan, and Mariah took over. I think you had all but 2 of the points for you guys until you left the game with a minute 38 left. Did you notice or know, okay, we got to step up our game and take over now and put this game out of reach at that point, if you remember?
Yeah, they came down and had however many threes in transition, and during one of the breaks, dead balls, that kind of stuff, it was me, Morgan, and Mariah saying, all right, like, we have to do this. We have to take over. We have to take control. We're the most experienced, and we're the ones that should be.
Howard in front.
A question actually for both of you. Morgan, I'm curious whether early on when you were asserting yourself as much as you were offensively, was that just a question of matchups and something you guys saw, or was that a plan going in, or if that was something that you decided to take upon yourself? And Brianna, I noticed you addressing the team prior to tip-off. I was just wondering what you said to them.
Well, I just tried to, read how the game was being played. We had talked about, whoever Amani was guarding, that me or Stewie would have a little bit of a mismatch. So I think we just try to take advantage of that as much as possible.
And then before the game, we do it every single game before the game, just talk to them. And today, just saying that we know that this game leads to the Final Four. The winner of this game gets a ticket to the Final Four, and, we want to come out on the other side victorious, and we were. Thank you.
Get a microphone over to Rich here, please.
Rich Elliott from The Day. For Morgan and Stewie, Gino talked about this being, you guys did the hard work. You made a lot of things look easy, but was a lot of things hard this year to get back to the Final Four?
You go.
Well, I think, whenever you have a new team, it's hard. Nothing comes easy, and especially, playing for him, playing at UConn, nothing is easy. And, we had to build that chemistry, to rebuild the chemistry with our entire team, to show the young guys how we do things, to become even better leaders, take on bigger roles. And, it wasn't easy, but the experience definitely helps.
In the back.
Herbert Delancey, BSTM. I guess for Brianna, how important or how much of a motivational factor was it when Mariah went down with a potential injury? I mean, her coming back and toughening out, how great was that for you all to maintain your momentum and ultimately come out with a victory?
Well, when Mo went down, we knew she was going to get back up. We knew that, our senior leader, our point guard, she wasn't going to leave the game unless she was unable to move, unable to walk, that kind of thing. She wanted to be out there with us because she knew that, we needed her help.
In the back right there.
Hi, Katie Barnes, ESPNW. Stewie, can you talk a little bit about the importance of Mariah's presence on the defensive end, especially heading into the second half there?
I think, when you think of Mo as a defensive presence, she's all over the place. She's getting in the passing lane. She's, swarming the ball. There was one point where we switched, and she was able to knock the ball away from the other 6'5" post player, which was unbelievable and was a huge play for us. But the fact that, no matter who she's guarding, she's going to do her best to make sure that they don't score.
With Howard in front, then we'll get a mic to John, please.
For both of you, again, actually, just in the lead up to the game, having your names announced in the state of Connecticut for the final time, I'm just wondering if both of you thought about what that might feel like and what was going through your mind at that time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that, to have my name be called for the final time in the state of Connecticut, it's kind of a big deal, and you don't really think about it then because you're thinking about the game. But looking back on it now, walking off this court, the fans here have done so much for us, and to be able to play our regional game here in Connecticut, we're really fortunate. So they're able to come and see us play one last time because our fans are like no other.
John
Altavilla, Hartford Current. Morgan, going back to the fourth Final Four in your career, is it possible to just play these games like they're other games and block out all the external static that goes around the Final Four? Can you just approach it like normal during the season, or is there some other formula?
I think once you're in the game, I think you try to play it, as, not necessarily just a normal conference game, but that it could be the last game. But I think, with the approach, we all know that these are really important games. So, the nerves might be there a little bit more than an average game. But, no matter what, I think once the game gets going, then you just kind of forget about that.
David Siegel, Hoop Feed. Stewie, you guys get out, you run, that's the way you guys play the game, and that's part of UConn basketball. You had 2 fast break points today. You guys had to play a different style because of the way they got back on defense. How easy an adjustment was it? It seemed to be seamless, that you guys just immediately were able to execute in the half court, about as well as possible, shooting 60% at one point in the first half.
It didn't feel like we were shooting 60%, that's for sure. But, Coach stressed the importance of playing at our tempo, and the fact that they were really pushing the tempo, trying to run up and down, especially offensively. We wanted to make sure that, we kind of controlled the ball, took our time, and there was times where we were shooting a little too quickly into the shot clock, and they did a great job getting back in transition, and they didn't let us get any runouts.
We have any other questions? Just Rich and then Doug. We'll be the last 2 for the student athletes.
Morgan, obviously the national championship is still out there for you guys, but as a senior class, how much does it mean to you to be back at the Final Four for the 4th straight time?
It means a lot. This is a big part of us reaching our goal, and, we have to go to the Final Four to do that. So I think that, as a team, we're just really excited to be able to go and, enjoy the Final Four and then hopefully win 2 games.
Last one for the student athletes from Doug.
Funny, that was sort of my question. Stewie, the same thing that Morgan just answered.
Well, we're really excited to go to the Final Four. I think that anytime you go, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot going on. There's, Coach was talking about this is our last trip with this team. Last time to be with this team, and I think we're just gonna enjoy it, especially as the seniors. Last time it's gonna be like this.
Okay, congratulations to student athletes. They return to the locker room. The Connecticut locker room is open for another 19 minutes or so, and we'll take questions for Coach Auriemma.
At least it was 1-1. It could have been worse. It could have been worse.
To go with Tim and then Rich.
Coach Tim Gaffney, Litchfield County Sports. With everything that went on over the last 48 hours, the way that Texas came out and played, especially in the first half, is that the best thing, aside from how good your team is, for women's basketball?
Yeah, I mean, when they were pushing it and they were really attacking us, I think we got up 17-6, or I don't know, maybe we got up 8 or 9, or early, and then they came right back and knocked in. There's one kid made a 3 in transition, and it's like her 5th one of the year. That's what happens at this time of the year. People make shots they don't make the rest of the year. Everything, that's just, you have to expect the unexpected. So during their run, when they were going really good, I remember sitting down and going, this is really great for women's basketball. Now those guys can shut the hell up. I was thinking that. Not really. Not really. I'm thinking, what's good for Connecticut basketball? We need to go on a 12-0 run.
Rich?
A game of this magnitude, did you just expect that the seniors were going to play like they did tonight?
Of course. If you remember last year, how well we played in the Sweet 16 game, and then what a struggle it was in the game against Dayton. That's, nothing that happened in this game surprised us. Like, we know. And we said, what happened Saturday, that's not real life. That's not realistic. That's not the way the NCAA tournament goes at this time of the year. Today is more realistic. Today, it was a struggle. It was a struggle physically. It was a struggle emotionally because, I probably should have got some players out of the game more, but I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. And because of that, you know, some of the kids played a lot more minutes than I wish they would have played. But it takes its toll because already emotionally your adrenaline's going, and then physically you're tired, and it caught up to us a little bit at the end. But this game played out exactly the way I thought it would. None of us thought that we were going to have a repeat of what happened Saturday.
We got a mic to John here in the front.
John Nash, Norwalk Hour. Coach, could you talk about Nafisha's play off the bench, especially at the end of that first half? 6 minutes, 7 points, 4 rebounds, and really helped you get that separation going into the locker room.
Yeah, you know, we like the kid, Nafisa. She, I think if you asked her, like, name a play that Connecticut runs, she might say, you know, bye-bye birdie or something. She's young, and she knows one thing, you know, if we shoot it, I'm going to go offensive rebound it. If there's a lane open, I'm going to drive it to the rim. Those are the two things that she knows that she can do. So, you know, at one point we said, listen, you guys are playing with the 3 best players in the country. At one point when both freshmen were in and Mo was on the bench, or Morgan was on the bench, I should say, and we made a point to say that. He's playing with the 2 best players in the country out there. Relax and just enjoy it. Because I could tell that there was a little bit of, you know, anxiety in the freshmen. Just do what you're good at. And the 2 of them, both Lou and Nafisa were really, really good tonight. Nafisa did exactly what I would expect her to do.
I think we're going to go in the second row right here, and then we'll go here, and then John.
Hey, Coach Kevin Baxter, LA Times. Congratulations.
Thank you.
If with 2 more wins, that'll be an 11th title. It doesn't seem to be a whole lot left for you to accomplish. How long do you want to keep doing this?
Based on the way I felt this afternoon coming into this game, I'm trying to come up with something that'll keep me from going to the Final Four. And let the other coaches coach. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Everything comes to an end. You know that. Every coaching career ends, whether you win a lot or lose a lot. Every coaching career stops at some point. Every run of championships ends at some point. Always has, always will. I'm not, you know, I'm not thinking about anything other than what we have to do in the next 8 or 9 days. And then after that, obviously, you know, you kind of regroup and you look at the team that you have coming back next year, and you know it's going to be completely a different story. So I've been doing this for so long. I've been doing this for so many years. 40 years, I think. I still get antsy, and that's a good sign.
Jim in the third row, then John, and then Mike.
Coach, Katie Lou kind of struggled a little bit early and then bounced back as part of that big run with Nafisa in the second quarter to end the half. How big was that to kind of see her adjust and kind of be a major player and shake off some of that anxiety?
Yeah. You have to play through the first 5 minutes, you know. You have to. Stewie did too. You know, we didn't make the shots that we were making in the past. And the game's a little more physical, and you have to run harder back on defense, and you have to cut harder, and every box out becomes more difficult. And a lot of times when you're a freshman, that's the first time that it hits you, that this isn't January and we're going to go to practice and work on this. No. But the really good ones, they regroup and they summon up whatever they have to summon up to be good. And Lou and Nafisa are terrific talents, and they're tough kids, and I think what they did today is going to be great for them for next weekend.
John and Mike and then Doug.
Gino, what does it feel like to look at the other side of the bracket and see Syracuse and Washington on that side of it, especially Washington, the first 7 seed in 12 years to make the Final Four?
You know, in 1991, when we went to our first Final Four, the other teams that were there were Stanford, Tennessee, and Virginia. And I'll bet you that not one media person, not one coach, not one anyone thought these guys have a chance. And how did they get here? What happened? It must have been a fluke. A lot has changed since then. And I think Washington finishing 5th in their league and going to the Final Four, that's the kind of stuff that happens in men's basketball. You know, Syracuse, they didn't win their league. You know, they don't have people that everybody's talking about them being All-Americans. They don't have Conference Players of the Year on their team. But what they did is no fluke. They came out and they beat really good teams. That's the kind of stuff that happens in men's basketball. So maybe, you know, it's taken a while, but there are a lot of good players out there, and there's a lot of really good coaches out there. And I'm glad that everybody in the country got to see 2 teams that maybe you don't get to see much at all. So I'm thrilled for them. I know exactly what, you know, Mike and Q are going through. I know exactly what they're thinking right now. I know exactly how they feel, and I know exactly what they're going to be doing the next 7 or 8 days. They're going to come up with 75 ways that they can win a national championship. That's what you do. They've got it all figured out. If we do this, 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 and this, we're going to win a national championship. I know that's what they're doing. Because what I'm doing is coming up with 15 things that they're going to do that's going to beat us. So I know how this works.
Okay, we'll do 3 more questions. Mike, Doug, and Rich.
Gino, are you ever amused by the ease with which you can get people who ignore the women's game to spend an entire day screaming about it?
Did I do that? Really? I thought I was on my best behavior yesterday. I thought that was one of my better answers to a question. I usually, was anybody on my side? They weren't? Not that you heard? You know, there comes a point in time. Remember last year when I was asked a question about men's basketball, and I said it's a joke because I was just repeating something that a men's basketball coach told me like 5 minutes earlier. Bad choice of words by me. Well, during the summer, they changed a lot of rules, right? And the game's never been better, right? So sometimes when a women's basketball coach opens her mouth, all the geniuses out there have to have a reason to slam the game. And unfortunately, I've given them a lot of reasons to do that. Not my intention, believe me. But you know what? Go tell my 3 seniors that it doesn't matter what they do. Because as long as it matters to them, then it matters to me, and it doesn't matter to me what those people say.
We got Doug, and then wrap it up with Rich.
Gino, along those lines, I mean, you said before you've been to a lot of Final Fours. That's 9 straight now. How does you still get excited and motivated to keep doing this? I mean, 9 in a row is crazy. 3 straight titles is crazy. Just how do you still get excitement out of doing something that's become routine?
It's not. I kind of just the same thing I just said to Mike. Like when I go to practice every day, for me, there's this overwhelming desire to make sure that whatever these players want to accomplish, it's like my job to have to help them accomplish it. And so they set out to do something. When they came here, they set out to do something great. So every year there's a group of seniors that they're going to leave, and you want them to leave from the Final Four, preferably with a national championship. So the motivator for me and my coaching staff, I think, is the players. And they don't want to hear that it's old hat for you. They don't want to hear that it's routine. You know, it's like, you know, a mother and father that have 3, 4, 5 kids. That 4th and 5th kid doesn't want to hear it's routine. They want to be treated with a lot of respect. Like, hey, what about me? I already did that with 4 other kids. I don't care. You know, so we've put ourselves in position as coaches that these kids ask us, Coach, can you help us do this? So that's the motivator.
Rich, last question.
Gino, so much has been accomplished by this program. You know, a lot of numbers have been thrown about. But yeah, this is 9 straight Final Fours. Is it a number that you appreciate?
You know, I appreciated the first one incredibly. You know, I appreciated the second one and this one right here. You know, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'll have the same excitement about preparing our team for what's going to happen next weekend. You know, I think I can't speak for other coaches, but the hardest thing about coaching is September to March. That's really hard because every day you've got to go there and work with these guys, and there's a lot that happens during those months. Now, when you get to here and you know that it's only 3 weekends that you have left, if you're lucky, the excitement and the preparation and everything that goes with it, I mean, 9 times is a lot. That's a lot of Final Fours. 9 times in a row, that's a lot. That's a lot of players over a lot of years. And it's not easy to do. You know, it's not easy to do. And, Mike, that's one of the things that does keep me going, though. Like all those people that called in to the talk shows. You know the sad part about it? I guarantee you none of them have ever been half as successful at what they do as Stewie's been. Because the guys that are really good, the guys that are great, they don't have time to call stupid radio stations. They're busy being great. They're busy being great. You should see when our guys are around the NBA players how much those guys appreciate what these kids do. I've never, ever met someone who's great at what they do criticize what these kids do because they understand how hard it is to be great. So maybe that's what keeps us going, too.
Okay. Gino, congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you.
Connecticut locker room is open probably for a couple more minutes.